Yep, I'm on a break again. And I decided to take some time out to answer some of your most frequently asked questions which I get down in the comments. And I'm going to start out with a controversial one. Do the vaccines contain FBS, fetal bovine serum? This is a very valid question, especially for people from the subcontinent who hold their religious and cultural values at a very high level. I'll give you the short answer and also a long answer. The short answer is no. Fetal bovine syndrome is used in research of vaccines. FBS is mainly used as a nutrient medium for the growth of bacteria and viruses, used in a research laboratory when they are researching for vaccines. FBS is in no form used in any vaccine. The long answer, this myth of FBS was propagated primarily in the subcontinent by a couple of quacks who have got a big fan following. As you will know, more spews for more views. Social media is such that the more drama you create, the more people would like to watch it. And as you know, truth is generally very simple and it does not bring a lot of entertainment alone. So from my heart, do not worry about FBS. How am I so sure that ivermectin is so effective, even though there are numerous studies stating that it is not? I would counter that saying that there are numerous studies stating that ivermectin is actually effective. I am not going to link you to the studies down here because after all this is my holiday video. But you can easily Google it and research it. But listen to my logical thinking. I have administered myself ivermectin to numerous patients in treatment and prophylaxis of COVID-19. Who's to say that these patients have recovered because of the ivermectin? Maybe they have recovered spontaneously, as with most COVID cases. Therefore, I cannot directly attribute their recovery to ivermectin. That is for sure. But ivermectin itself is a very cheap drug. In fact, it is cheaper than many vitamins. Also, ivermectin has a very low side effect profile. In fact, over here, I would like to put you across to a website, vgaccess.com. I would like you to browse to this website and look at the adverse cases reported from ivermectin. Until date, there are around 3.7 billion doses. Let's keep it at 4 billion doses as a round figure for the sake of convenience. And there are around 5,500 adverse reactions reported. Out of this, there are 16 deaths. Any medication inherently has a danger to it. That is why always get medications prescribed from your doctor. But I would like you to compare this to another drug you might have actually taken multiple times even this year, paracetamol. Paracetamol, there may have been many doses of paracetamol given compared to ivermectin. But paracetamol also has got 165,000 adverse reactions reported as compared to ivermectin's 5,500. I don't know right now if I will be able to do it, but while editing this, I will try to put up a figure of aspirin's adverse reactions as well. VGAccess.com is a very reputed pharmacovigilance website, so we can take their word for it. So in all, we know that ivermectin may or may not work, but it is a cheap drug and with a very good side effect profile. Is it not then worth a try? Why do I promote working out in the gym so much? Well, actually I don't. The thing you have to understand about training is all what matters is consistency and how much you enjoy training. There is no excuse not to exercise. I don't think in 2021 we have to discuss whether exercise is good or bad for you. The benefits of exercise are numerous. And the crux of it is that you have to be consistent with it. And to be consistent with exercise, you have to be able to enjoy it and you have to stay injury free. Let me catch my breath. I basically would like you to incorporate exercise in any form you would like to enjoy. But my expertise is in training in the gym. And that is why I promote to you training in the gym. I also do a lot of running. But I am a very bad runner. And that is why I don't tell you much about running. But all jokes aside, I sincerely believe that training in the gym is actually a shortcut to success. The gym is a great place. Actually, the gym is not even built for youngsters. It is built for an elderly population, and I'm talking really old people, like Grandma Josephine. When people are really old, they lose muscle at an accelerated rate. And training with weights helps maintain that muscle, which is vital when people get older. So you have to understand the gym is actually an ideal place for an older person to train. But when we are younger, why not use this facility to get ourselves stronger? And you have to understand another thing. The basic gym movements which you do not only improve your strength, they also help improve other aspects of your fitness, such as flexibility, such as endurance, and your stamina. How long did it take for me to lose 50 kgs? Well, it's a little bit of a story. You see, I grew up as an obese child, and in my early teens, I ended up going on a crash diet. I called it my watermelon diet. For 6 months, I only ate watermelons, and I would eat proper meals only on a Sunday. And I ended up losing 18 kilograms. And as expected, I put on body weight very quickly back again. Losing weight is easy, just keep yourself hungry. You will lose body weight, there's no other way. But keeping it off sustainably is a totally different ball game. It is about setting up sustainable habits. Then in my late 30s, I had become so obese that it was all or nothing. I had to lose body weight. There was no two ways about it. And I decided to lose exactly 19 kilograms. Why 19? Because during my watermelon crash diet, during my teens, I ended up losing 18 kilograms in those 6 months. My first 5 kilograms, I remember, I was around 113 kilos. My first 5 kilograms I just lost just by thinking about losing body weight. And then my next 6 or 7 kilos was an arduous task. And then by the time I reached 19 kilograms, I remember I had gone out from the weight loss mentality and I had moved to a performance mentality. At that time, my old viewers of my videos will know that I was concentrated very much on table tennis. And I was more concentrated on performance and not so much on weight loss. Here I got a little bit of a disclosure for you. The body weight I lost was not because I wanted to lose body weight, but it was a side effect of improving on my table tennis. And then I took up running in between. And obviously I always loved my gym. End of the day, without counting, before I knew it, I was around 46 or 47 kilos down from my maximum body weight. And then I pushed myself another 3 or 4 kilos just to get to that figure of 50 kilograms. Was that sustainable for me? It was not. But I just wanted to do it just to hit that figure so that I can portray to you a figure that I lost 50 kilograms. I'm a little bit heavier now. So again, coming back to the time frame, how long did it take for me to lose 50 kilograms? I have absolutely no idea. Because I never ever set out on a journey to lose 50 kilograms. I set out on a journey to lose 19 kilograms. So probably losing those 19 kilograms took me about a year and a half, which is a guesstimate because I do not know the exact day which I started my journey, and fitness is a journey which never ends. I'm all the time trying to improve myself, and so should you. I'm going to shut this one out here. If you've got any more questions for me, do let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Signing out, Dr. Rohan Sansekar.